ولا تلبسوا الحق بالباطل وتكتموا الحق وأنتم تعلمون
তোমরা সত্যকে মিথ্যার সাথে মিশিয়ে দিও না এবং জানা সত্ত্বেও সত্যকে তোমরা গোপন করো না।
ولا تلبسوا الحق بالباطل وتكتموا الحق وأنتم تعلمون, and don't disguise truth with falsehood. This is also something people of knowledge are capable of doing, and Muslims are no exception. Even Muslims are no exception. You can quote ayat and ahadith and as evidences, and you can make it sound like the falsehood is the truth. It's very easy to manipulate text. Remember, Allah already told us, يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا. He will misguide with it many. So when people already have a preconceived agenda, a notion, they want to push a certain idea, they can actually use the Quran. They can use the Sunnah to actually come up with false conclusions. It is very possible. It is extremely possible. And so Allah Azza wa Jal warns Bani Israel, He says, don't dress the truth with falsehood. And you know how that's done? 90% of what you say is true, and you mix in a little bit of falsehood in there, so it gets kind of disguised. And what's a little bit false is all false. It's all false. But you can disguise it really well. وَتَكْتُمُ الْحَقِّ, while conveniently hiding, covering up the truth. In other words, this can be done, you know how? When somebody has a particular, and this is happening a lot in the ummah today. In my opinion, Allah knows best. And I know this might sound controversial to some of you, but I have to say what I believe. You know? In my opinion, there are two extremes in how the religion is being manipulated in our time. There's what you can call a liberal extreme, that are trying to interpret everything about this deen in a way that will make non-Muslims happy. They're not concerned about the fear of Allah, they're concerned about what non-Muslims will say about us. So anything that sounds politically incorrect, let's reinterpret it, or not even talk about it. Taktumul haqq. Right? And they hide the truth conveniently. And they'll present themselves as professors and PhDs and doctors, etc., 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 and come up with these watered down, clearly ingenuine interpretations of the religion and the book. On the other extreme is the angry extreme. There are people who are angry at the state of the ummah and the atrocities that are happening to the Muslims. And their anger is leading them to interpret Allah's book that justifies and further solidifies their anger. This book, you cannot come to it from grief. Grief leads to anger. And on the other hand, you can't come to it from fear. Fear should not be a motive in interpreting this book. Neither should grief. We have to come to it with fearing Allah only. You know the two negative emotions Allah mentioned in the surah, لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. And in the extreme misinterpretations of our religion, you have people of khawf and you have people of huzn. And they're both interpreting the religion in what suits their personal agenda. And assuming that this is a genuine cause for the religion. This is not. We have to be level-headed when we come to this deen. We have to put our emotions aside. And we have to put fear of anybody else aside. And wallahi, it is my conviction. This is my personal conviction. You don't have to agree with it. My personal conviction is if the Quran was presented without compromise, genuinely, authentically, with proper study, there is nothing we have to be ashamed of. There is nothing that's politically incorrect. There is no controversy. This is a book of fitrah. This is a book of human decency and human nature. If we did our job presenting it right, anybody would see the sense in it. Anybody. Except those who are bent upon hating us anyway. Well, no matter what we say from our mouths, they're going to hate us anyway. You know, nowadays they've got this new thing with taqiyya, right? Taqiyya is the concept of Muslims seeking, for the purpose of protection, them lying. They developed this, they got it from some book and they say, oh, you Muslims, either you're all terrorists, and those of you that are not terrorists are using taqiyya, so when you speak against it, you're just lying to protect the terrorists, right? So the ones who want to paint us with a certain brush, they will paint us no matter what we do. No matter what we do. But we have to be genuine to Allah's book. And if we are genuine to Allah's book, wallahi, this country will see a different Islam. They will see the Islam that they're supposed to see. And we haven't really, in my conviction at least, the Muslims, we have not done our job explaining this book for the fear of Allah alone. Even if we do explain this book, it's for the fear of the people. We have to explain this book for the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. So he says, وَلَا تَشْتَرُوا بِآيَاتِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا وَإِيَّايَ تَتَّقُونَ وَلَا تَلْبِسُوا الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتَكْتُمُوا الْحَقَّ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. And you deep down, you are the ones who know that you're hiding the truth. It's not like you're convinced of your own interpretation either. You know you're doing this for your agenda.